The Soviet Union's journey to Venus was marked by high hopes and early failures. In the shadow of the Cold War, every step into space was a gamble, and the stakes were nothing less than global prestige. Determined to reach another planet before anyone else, Soviet scientists set their sights on Venus, Earth's so-called twin, shrouded in mystery and thick clouds. In February 1961, their first probe failed to leave Earth's orbit, a silent failure that was kept from the public eye, but not from the engineers who felt the sting of defeat. Just days later, Venera 1 successfully launched, becoming humanity's first emissary to another world, a moment of triumph for the Soviet space program. The probe carried instruments to measure cosmic rays and magnetic fields, hoping to unlock Venus's secrets. But soon, communication was lost, leaving mission control in anxious silence. Venera 1 flew past Venus, unable to send back data, a frustrating silence that haunted the team as their hard work vanished into the void. Despite these setbacks, the Soviets pressed on, undeterred and driven by the fierce rivalry with the United States. Each launch was more than a technical feat. It was a bold statement of technological superiority, broadcast to the world. Venus was both a scientific target and a political prize, its exploration a symbol of national achievement. The team meticulously analyzed Venera 1's failure, determined to design more robust probes that could survive the journey and send back data. The dream of reaching Venus was far from over. Each setback only fueled their resolve, inspiring new ideas and innovations. In 1962, the Soviets launched several more probes, each one failing in different ways. The world never saw these failures, but the engineers did. These hidden failures told a story of persistence and late nights, of teams refusing to give up, learning from every mistake. The Soviets learned from each setback, determined to reach the cloud-covered planet that had eluded them so far. Their ambition was fueled by the intense rivalry of the Cold War, where every mission was a battle for global influence. For the Soviets, Venus was not just a scientific target, but a political prize, one that promised glory, if only they could reach it first. The Soviet Union's focus on Venus was driven by a powerful mix of scientific curiosity and political ambition, both of which shaped the direction of their space program. In the early 1960s, Venus was shrouded in mystery. Through telescopes, it appeared as a bright, cloud-covered world, and many believed it could be a terrestrial paradise waiting to be explored. Scientists and science fiction writers alike imagined vast oceans, steamy jungles, and even the possibility of exotic life forms thriving beneath the thick clouds. This romantic and adventurous image of Venus captivated the imagination of Soviet scientists, fueling their desire to be the first to unlock its secrets. After their pioneering missions to the Moon, Venus became the logical next step, a new frontier for a grand scientific quest that promised even greater discoveries. Politically, the space race was a high-stakes front in the Cold War, with each superpower vying for technological and ideological dominance. The Soviets used their space achievements as powerful propaganda tools, aiming to prove the superiority of communism to the world and inspire their own citizens. While the United States set its sights on the Moon, the Soviets saw Venus as their unique opportunity, a chance to claim a first in planetary exploration. Reaching another planet before anyone else would send a powerful message, demonstrating Soviet ingenuity and determination on a global stage. Venus soon became a symbol of Soviet ambition, representing both their scientific prowess and their national pride. There were also practical reasons for this focus. Venus offered more frequent launch windows than other planets, making it an attractive target for repeated missions. This allowed the Soviets to mount a rapid and persistent campaign of exploration, sending probe after probe in quick succession. The Soviets launched missions to Venus every 19 months, learning valuable lessons from each failure and setback along the way. Each failure only strengthened their resolve, pushing them to build better, more resilient probes and to keep striving for success. In time, Venus became the Soviets' domain, their own corner of the solar system, where they led the way in planetary exploration and left a lasting legacy. The Venera program was the Soviet effort to explore Venus. It was a series of missions from 1961 to 1984, a relentless assault on Venus's secrets. Early missions focused on reaching the planet. Venera 3 impacted Venus in 1966, a symbolic victory. The focus then shifted to atmospheric entry. Venera 4, launched in 1967, survived the brutal descent. It sent back the first measurements from Venus's atmosphere. The data revealed extreme conditions, a shock to scientists. Instead of giving up, the Soviets doubled down. Venera 5 and 6 collected more data before being crushed. Each mission was a step forward, learning and adapting. The ultimate prize was a successful landing. The Venera program was a testament to persistence and ingenuity. To conquer Venus, Soviet engineers pioneered new technologies. The challenge was designing a lander for Venus's harsh conditions. Temperatures reached 475 degrees Celsius, with pressure 90 times Earth's. The solution was a tank-like lander. Venera landers were spherical titanium shells, distributing pressure evenly. Inside, electronics were kept cool with a passive thermal system. The lander was pre-chilled to absorb heat during its mission. Descent through Venus's atmosphere was perilous. A heat shield and parachute slowed the lander. The main parachute was jettisoned to avoid prolonged heat exposure. The Soviets developed specialized instruments for soil analysis. A robotic arm drilled into Venusian rock, analyzing its composition. This engineering feat operated in one of the solar system's most hostile environments. On December 15, 1970, the Soviet spacecraft Venera 7 made its historic descent through the thick, toxic clouds of Venus. This was a moment that would change our understanding of the planet forever. Previous missions had failed to survive the planet's crushing atmosphere, but Venera 7 was engineered with reinforced walls and advanced cooling systems, designed specifically to withstand the extreme pressures and searing heat found on Venus. During its descent, disaster nearly struck. The parachute tore, causing the probe to plummet much faster than planned, threatening the mission's success. Despite the hard impact with the surface, a faint but steady signal managed to reach Earth, astonishing the mission team. For a remarkable 23 minutes, Venera 7 transmitted invaluable data directly from Venus's surface, making history as the first spacecraft to do so. It was a monumental achievement, confirming the planet's harsh and hostile conditions and marking a new era in planetary exploration. The probe measured a surface temperature of 475 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, and an atmospheric pressure 92 times greater than Earth's, more than enough to crush a submarine. The romantic dream of a lush tropical Venus was shattered, replaced by the reality of a planetary oven, shrouded in thick clouds of sulfuric acid. Venera 7's success was not just a scientific milestone, but also a major propaganda victory for the Soviet Union during the height of the space race. The Soviets had beaten the Americans to the surface of another planet, capturing the world's attention and inspiring a new generation of scientists and engineers. Building on this triumph, Venera 8 landed in 1972, conducting the first ever soil analysis on Venus and sending back even more data about the planet's mysterious surface. Venera 9 and 10, launched in 1975, were equipped with cameras, a technological leap forward for planetary exploration. These probes transmitted the very first images from the surface of another planet, revealing Venus's alien landscape to humanity for the first time. The world saw a desolate rocky terrain beneath a thick orange sky, a stark contrast to earlier fantasies of a verdant world. In 1982, Venera 13 and 14 arrived, this time carrying advanced color cameras and more sophisticated scientific instruments. They confirmed that the surface was made of basalt-like rock, similar to volcanic regions on Earth, deepening our understanding of Venus's geology. Venera 13 even captured the first haunting sounds from another world, allowing us to hear the winds of Venus for the very first time. This era marked the peak of Soviet Venus exploration, a stunning triumph of engineering, science, and human curiosity that expanded the boundaries of what was thought possible. The exploration of Venus highlighted differences between Soviet and American strategies. The Soviets focused obsessively on Venus, developing expertise in spacecraft design. Their iterative approach led to remarkable firsts: impact, atmospheric entry, landing, and images. Venus became a Soviet planet. The American approach was diversified, with missions to multiple planets. The Mariner program performed the first successful planetary flyby. The Pioneer Venus mission in 1978 mapped the surface with radar. It provided a comprehensive picture of Venus's atmosphere. The US focused on the Moon and other grand projects. Venus did not capture American imagination like the Moon. For the Soviets, Venus was a separate arena in the space race. They achieved world firsts, maintaining leadership in planetary science. The Soviet focus on Venus was a strategic choice. It allowed them to maintain prestige and scientific momentum. Venus exploration was a testament to Soviet ambition and ingenuity. The Soviet Venera and Vega missions transformed our understanding of Venus. They revealed a hellish surface, dispelling myths of a habitable world. The concept of a runaway greenhouse effect was confirmed. The atmosphere was mostly carbon dioxide, with sulfuric acid clouds. The images showed a volcanic landscape, with basalt-like rocks. The final Soviet missions, Vega 1 and 2, were ambitious. They deployed landers and balloons, revealing atmospheric dynamics. The balloons floated in Earth-like conditions, sending valuable data. The Soviet missions were a scientific triumph. They provided essential data for future studies. The legacy of these missions is immense. They laid the foundation for modern Venus exploration. The Soviet focus on Venus was a strategic success. The Venera program faced numerous setbacks and failures. Early missions often failed due to unreliable rockets. Each failure was a costly blow, hidden from public view. Even successful missions operated on the edge of failure. Venera 7's hard landing was a victory from defeat. The final Soviet missions, Vega 1 and 2, marked the end of an era. The balloon experiments were a success, but landers were an afterthought. The collapse of the Soviet Union starved the space program of funding. Ambitious plans for new Venus missions never materialized. The legacy of these setbacks is a cautionary tale. Space exploration is incredibly hard, tied to political stability. The long silence from Venus was a result of earthly turmoil. The Soviet Venus program was a story of persistence and ingenuity. The legacy of the Soviet Venus program is immense. It laid the foundation for our understanding of Venus. The Venera and Vega missions provided essential data. The concept of a runaway greenhouse effect was confirmed. The program was a masterclass in robust engineering. The design of the Venera landers remains a case study. The Soviet focus on Venus was a strategic success. It allowed them to achieve historic firsts. The program demonstrated the value of focused exploration. The echoes of the Venera program inspire new generations. The Soviet race to Venus was a story of human curiosity. The path to understanding Venus was forged by these missions. Future explorers will follow in the footsteps of the Venera probes.